love it. I'm going to switch gears right now and just sort of acknowledge when we're recording this and what's going on in the world. It is the middle of June 2020, and dancers have been working from home since March 16th, when Philadelphia sort of shut down because of COVID-19. And in the past 4 weeks, we have seen the issues raised after the death of George Floyd and the protests that have swept the nation and now the world around Black Lives Matter, and also around the dance world and the things that the dance world could be doing better. We have people here with different perspectives about how the dance world has historically dealt with race and how it could be doing better, and things that might be able to change. And so I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and your perspectives, stories you had from growing up and training and going through a ballet system, and to where we are today. Jermel, I'm gonna start with you. I have had the good fortune of knowing you since you're about 16 years old, so we've sort of grown up together, and you are a dear friend of mine. And I have seen something in the past couple weeks. I have seen sort of an awakening with you that is incredible, and just sort of almost a blossoming of just sort of understanding about these things, and wanting to have more of a voice, which I think is fantastic. So if you could just sort of talk about what the past month has meant to you, and how it relates to you as a person, as an artist, and as a dancer.
Sure. Well, it's been an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. There were times where I felt so much that I didn't know how to put into words what I'm feeling, because I'm a dancer. So that's my mode of expression. And then with having to be at home and not being on stage, it's hard to find that. But like you said, I'm still finding my awakening. There's so many things going on in the world that need to be addressed. And I'm so thankful that everyone's on board with learning and acknowledging and growing, because I've got 2 kids, so that's always in the forefront of my mind, especially when people are scared to go for a jog or do like they're littlest things that you almost take for granted that you're free to do, or you should be free to do, and there are people that seek to kind of prevent you from doing that for no reason. Like we're all in this together. We bleed the same blood. Only thing is different is our skin tone, and that shouldn't be a factor in how people are treated. So that it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that and the severity of what's going on. So that's been my last couple weeks, trying to acknowledge that, finding ways that I can find my voice and find out what is the problem, how to help people acknowledge the problem, because I think that's a problem in itself. Some people don't realize that racism or the color of someone's skin affects how they're treated, how they're paid, how they get to walk down the street, just the smallest things. So it's coming to terms with that, acknowledging it, speaking up about it, and letting others know that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to feel how you feel, and you're supported in that.
And Nayara, would you like to share some of what your experience has been, again, as a person, as a dancer, as an artist, sort of all of those things that intersect with who you are?
Yeah, I mean, being a dancer of color, not only a dancer, a person of color, you definitely have a reality, because that's just how society is, and that's how it's ingrained in our minds. Sometimes, we even think things without knowing, because it's just how we thought is right. And I think that it's so important for us to open up in a way of how we think about dancers of color, and especially being from other country, because I think that we need to really tell the world that this is a global thing. It's not because you're darker or you're lighter or you're this and you're that, you're not going to go through, because most of the times they don't know where you're from and they just see color. And I feel like many dancers feel the pain and they don't want to say it. And I think I want to really open up, being a Brazilian, that sometimes it's even worse because we're Brazilians and then we have to just really stay down and not say anything. And sometimes we're making fun of how we talk and then talk so fast we can't even understand how you talk. And it's just like, it's just so many things that is put on the table in this moment that I just think that we should have equality in, and it's a global thing. I think that's my message. What's happening is something that has been happening for too long, and it is a global thing. A lot of us feel that way. But the way we can change is really thinking of actions. And I think that I can also connect that with Juliano. I think that the way he connects with dancers or how he presents his work is about accepting. And I think that we need to have more acceptance of who we are and open up space for us to be who we are and not try to be somebody else. And once we do this, we're going to feel more equal. And we need to have equality because there is so much beauty. And I think we're lacking to share beauty and lacking to share with other audience what we are and who we are and how beautiful we can be without being in a pattern. So I think this is very important what's happening, and I think that it needs to be done in a very conscious way. But I think that we need to have a voice, yes, and so many people want to share how they feel, and that's the only way we're going to change.
Juliano, would you like to give your thoughts on this? I mean, you've got a very sort of international view, I think, of the dance world and the dance industry. And what has the past month been for you?
Yeah, it's something that makes me it's like I honestly I still can't believe that we have to protest and clarify this. This is just insanity. It's just like it's 2020, but I honestly I feel like helpless. I feel like I feel angry, frustrated, all these things that just makes me like, how is it possible that people still have this in their brains? But rule number one, we just have to like to learn how to learn how to sit down and listen, because everyone has a different experience. There were, for example, for me, I came from a family where my dad is a black man and my mom is a white woman. So I I I don't know. Like for me, there is no difference. We're all humans. What is the difference? And growing up, I've never seen the difference. But then when I started getting older, I would get out with my mom and my dad. People would look at us as a family like a little bit confused or like a little bit strange, and I just could never understand why. But then like when you don't understand why, you create this walls where of resistance, or like you get frustrated and you get angry. And I think for me personally is that's when things get worse, because when you just close yourself and you don't receive new information, you're not opening to learn what the issue actually is. That's when things get delayed and you just like build up all these emotions that doesn't help things get clear in your brain, because there is nothing to be clarified, honestly. But there just feels like so much going on that yeah, I just it's something that really hurts me, and it's something that I don't see. It's something that I don't believe that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so bizarre to think that there are these things out there, but yeah, we just gotta keep we just gotta keep listening and talking about and clarifying things. But yeah, I honestly just feel so helpless with it all, because honestly, you can't believe that this is something that's because there was also a conversation here in Germany where they want to create a new word for the German dictionary. For example, when we talk, I think what they're talking about, they wanted to erase the word when you have to like, when you put categories of human race, like this is the white. So they just want to take one, because we're all one race. It's not about your color that shifts you and it puts you in another category of what is to be part of a human race. So like they're trying to find a word that it just puts everything together, because what is the yeah, it's just something that it makes me so 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 we feel so much emotions, but always the smartest way is to just be smart about how you make the conversations and how you approach people who do think different than you. But I honestly, I never experienced, or I've never seen, I believe that I've never seen and I never witnessed any situation where I knew what was happening, because all the environments that I went, I never saw this as an issue, and the people who were around me never saw this as an issue as well. So I've never witnessed that, so that's what makes it even harder for me to like see that there is this reality.
Yeah, I think unfortunately there are lots of examples of people that have, you know, sort of seen that reality, or felt the effects of racism in a very concrete, tangible, right in front of their faces way.
Yeah.
I I share your sort of frustration that in 2020 this is still going on, but many of us have so much more to learn.
Yeah.
Jermel, I mean, would you like to share just some of what your experience has been like?
Actually, I would love to comment on just Juliano, how you're feeling right now is amazing. That's the reaction we need for people to feel when they realize what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 kids, one's 5 and one's 2. I'm Black, and they could care less. Like my mother-in-law is white, and my kids, like, they hear grandma, grandma, grandma. You would have no idea that she's white, or that it's not a factor. It shouldn't be a factor. And I've been fortunate enough in some areas where like people are like just like enthralled that my kids are like so loving and accepting, and it's just like, I love the rainbows. I love seeing the rainbows. I think it's amazing. It's beautiful. And then there are some people, like you said, that they're almost like kind of like, well, why? Well, why not? I mean, it really doesn't affect that much. You can't, and it's weird because you don't get to choose where you were born. You don't get to choose what you look like when you were born, your hair color, your skin. These are things that are out of your control. So like for someone to hate someone for looking a certain way, they didn't have that choice. It's not a choice. And not saying that they would go back on it, but like these are things that are out of our control, and they don't affect how we think. And like I honestly think like hate is taught. Yeah. Like I think there are always questions, and if there are questions, then ask your questions. Always be willing to learn. Like allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm so uncomfortable speaking out on something like this, but I feel like I'm in a position where maybe I can reach 2 people that will think about something in a different way, or they didn't realize this was going on. And I've actually had people contacting me and emailing me through Facebook and Instagram, because I made a heartfelt post just saying how worried I am for my own kids, and how we really are one. We need to be united. And I'm like trying to teach and preach love and coach as many young people as I can, just like telling them they are beautiful no matter how they look or where they're born into. And that message luckily is getting out to some people. And I'm hoping that they relay that I think it just takes more people relaying that we are all the same, and the goodness that can come from uniting, illuminate the problem. Like someone just today messaged me saying, I saw someone else was attacked for something that is just, which she messaged me. She said, I'm a older white woman. If I'd fallen asleep in my car, then someone would have like gently woken me up and waited until my family come and driven me home. It's like, that's exactly what everybody should have done. Like that. Why would you treat anybody differently because of their color of their skin? And she didn't understand that. And I thought that was beautiful. There's an innocence in that. And I trust now that she will illuminate all of her friends that something like this is going on. So just being vocal about it, being uncomfortable, feeling what you feel right on the surface. And it's like, it's exhausting, because I feel like the past couple weeks, I've literally been wearing my emotions on my sleeve. and talking to people and writing things, and both which almost make me have a panic attack before this, because like my venue of I guess expression by choice is dance. Like that's how I found my voice. And with the circumstances with COVID and everything, we're apart but together. So I'm dancing in my home and relaying message and writing. And I think that's what we have to do. Allow yourself to feel comfortable and say these things, say what you're thinking. I'm not the biggest fan of just like, here are my kids, but my kids are happy, they're well spoken, they have interracial family members, and all they know is love, and they just want to share that.
That's amazing. Nayara, am I remembering correctly that you performed the role of Cinderella when we did Cinderella a few years ago for the school show that we had?
I did, and it was such a joy. And
so I just to give people a little sort of like lead into this, I remember this moment, and I, because of my own blindness, I guess, to certain things, had not realized this. We did a school performance. The audience looks like the city of Philadelphia with all the wonderful diversity of the city of Philadelphia. And you came out as Cinderella, and I thought, oh my God.
I mean, I definitely have a story to
tell. Queen came on stage. So if you could talk about that, I mean, yeah, please share about that.
I love that I can express how I feel now. So before I went to be a Cinderella, I did a YGP. That's how I'm in the country. And I have this story and I want to share it. That I was going to the final, and it was such a big opportunity. And my teacher, she painted me white because she thought that would be a better chance for me to get a scholarship here in America or Europe. And at the moment, I was so eager that I just said, "Oh, it's okay," because my mom is dark and my dad is white. I don't see a problem. Like Juliano and Jermel said, for me, it's all the same. I want a job. I want a scholarship. I don't mind. But then now, only a few years later, I understand how horrible that is. And I think that we cannot allow children to just be, to not be aware of how society sometimes makes us think, and that it's fine to just feel this way. It's not fine. It's not fine to do those things. It's not fine to think that that's all right. But in the same way that I'm so grateful, because that did make me so strong. It made me a stronger person. And now I can also share my joy, because I did have the opportunity to dance beautiful roles. And, Principal Rose is a dark dancer. And I don't see me as a dark dancer. I don't want to put myself as a dark dancer. I see me as I'm a good dancer to go ahead and do it. But after you think of your journey, you think, wow, I did make it. And I think that children that sees me and they have the same color, skin, and, yeah, you may be hard, but you can make it, and I think that those stories need to be shared. And I'm very grateful.
Well, it's amazing. I think you're absolutely right. These stories need to be shared, and people need to see themselves in our art form. And we are fortunate enough to have the two of you as dancers, and have people like Juliano coming in to be at the front of the studio in roles where you're sort of creating the ballets and telling the stories. And I do think that the generation coming up is very much aligned with what you guys have just said. Like, what's the difference? Let's just celebrate it all. And certainly a trying time for our country, but to echo Jermel, hopefully we'll all just stay uncomfortable and keep talking about it. And I want to thank all of you for sharing your insights on the ballet, and for your insights about what's going on in the world. This has been a deeply meaningful chat for me. I have done a lot of these over the years, and this is incredibly important. And thank you all so much for your openness. And Juliano, and thank you just for creating this wonderful ballet to add to the Pennsylvania Ballet repertoire that our audience members will get to see online. And man, I hope they will see back on stage very, very soon, because it deserves to live on. And it's absolutely wonderful. So I want to thank everybody that's watching this video, all of our donors and subscribers and ticket buyers. Please know, all of this is possible because of your support, and thank you so much for that. And again, the three of you, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.